So I think we as UNICEF see the need to change the way we do our business, and our business is helping the world's most vulnerable children. And when we're looking at the problems that the world faces right now, we think that some of the best solutions for kids come from startups and come from the space of technology. And so that can be anything from giving a kid an identity so that they can learn as they move across borders, to helping a mother understand what their basic needs of a family are. But in order to solve those problems, we need to think like businesses, and we need to work with startups. So our team really takes a very traditional venture capital approach to finding creative solutions to some of the world's most pressing problems. So I think the world is changing so quickly right now that we know that we can't be locked in like the borders of 20 years ago. And when I think of a good company, it's a company that has profitability and sustainability and also does good in the world. So for us, the type of companies that we're investing in happen to be smart, be good companies and make money, but also have a positive impact on humanity in general. Now, how you tie that back to a child depends on the company. We're investing in a group in Pakistan that does audio on demand. So that's cool. You can listen to a story or your audiobook. If you're an illiterate person, you can get all of that without words and letters that are being written. But you can also trace the impact of that to a kid. By providing their parents with the right information, you can help a family be stronger. So I think it's just a broadening of our focus. I think that I lived here a decade ago, and there's so much change. So now there's like incredible stuff happening, and you see diversity and the types of things that are coming up, and also the approaches that people are taking. But I think that there's still a sense of protectionism about ideas, and that really worries me. And it's true in Silicon Valley as well. One of the big changes that I think we need to see in entrepreneurship everywhere is for people to stop thinking that their idea is the best thing in the world, and that actually if they can find somebody else who's already working on the same problem, maybe in another market, they can get bigger faster and do better business. But that takes breaking a mindset of like, it's my secret formula, and starting to think about the world in a connected way. So I hate the word entrepreneur, and I hate the word innovation, and I'm surrounded by these like words that I hate. I think that when we find companies that are really attractive to us, they're made by people who are trying to solve their own problems, right? So somebody's kid is in a school and they can't figure out if there was attendance in the class on the day, and that's their problem, and they build a solution for that. Or you have a company here where the founder wants to get good lunches and healthy meals, and they start a company that actually ends up helping people. So I think that big businesses and good businesses start with solving something for yourself. Otherwise, you're like doing charity or doing something for somebody else, and that doesn't have long-term sustainability. And so that's what, to me, makes a good business, whether you call it an entrepreneur or an innovator or just a hungry person. So I've been on both sides of that. And the first thing is to, I think, be as careful as you can about thinking big, thinking towards your end goal. Investors can come in very early and try to dictate your direction and your scope. And they can also, a little bit of money sometimes seems very appealing to a company, and it can suddenly lead to a big change in what you're doing. I think having confidence and having a belief in the impossible is the most important thing. And I remember, 8 years ago when I was starting a company in East Africa, everybody was saying, it's longer than that now, 12 years ago, everybody was saying, that's impossible, like you can't do that, that won't work, totally won't work at all. And being able to push through that gets you to a point where you can then take control of the discussion. And I think that's very important for any startup. The second thing I would say is to be collaborative, and to know that your idea itself is being done in 15 other countries right now, and we can use the internet, we can use social media to find those other people and work with them, and that's our business advantage as people who are doing tech today. So I think two things. First of all, the UNICEF Venture Fund, which you can find more information about at unicefinnovationfund.org, will allow companies to directly apply for quite a large amount of money, in the $50,000 range. So we look for companies that we've met to do that application, go through the application process. The second thing is we found a lot of people who are working on the same sets of issues, and those are VC folks, people in venture capital, but also in media, who want to expose some of these new ways of thinking about collaboration and openness. So the second thing we'll do is we'll build a set of platforms, basically like, how do you be open source and still make money? And can we do a 6-week program that can train people in some of those business models? So I think both individual investments, but also some larger shaping in Arabic of a discussion around the future of business models. I think that the things we look for in a startup are the same that most VCs do. Is there a market for it? Are there other people that we can connect it to make it stronger? So that's what our value add is we can bring that. Is it a diverse group of founders? I think that's very important, and all of the studies show that if you have diversity in your founding team, you have a lot better pathway to success than if you're just a bunch of people who are basically the same. And I think, does our management team disagree? So we find the most exciting investments to be the ones where there's some disagreement among us. The easy ones where you're like, okay, yeah, fine, whatever, we all like that. Those are the ones that are obvious. The ones where we have to have an argument among our management team are the more difficult and more interesting ones at the end of the day. I think the biggest challenge is the thing that I keep talking about, which is the ability to collaborate in an open way. So if there's one thing that I'd like to work on and address, it's like, how do you show somebody who's been working for a year on their product that they can get more value by talking to somebody in Colombia or in Pakistan or in Chile or wherever and working together on a common set of technologies? And we need math to do that, we need business models, but to me that's the main thing to break, is like, how do you work together and make better product faster? I think the best startups come from places of big constraint. And I think that when you start something because you really need that healthy meal or an ability to find a car or an ability to get money to somebody in your family, you create a stronger thing. So I think we will see more constraints in the next 10 years in the world than we will see positive things. But I think that the flip side of that is that those constraints are where creativity comes from. And that's when I think humanity really shines through. So, yes.